Hey everybody, this is Dave Cooper, and we are back in day 2 in the Hudson Valley in New York, and we are on a Unity Homes Bensonwood home raising right now. And as you can see behind us, there has been a lot done since yesterday. And once again, standing with me, Jay Lepley from Bensonwood, one of the masters of this construction, one of the masters of the technique, and also a master of how you place a door off-site, on-site that we learned yesterday. So he's a master of many things. So if you're just joining us, we are live in 3 locations: LinkedIn, YouTube, and Facebook. And remember, at Dave Cooper, we are bringing you the people and the processes that are building it better. From building systems to building science to building codes, we are building it better, and that's why we are here right now with Jay. Jay.
Yeah, Dave, we got a lot done yesterday. You know, we worked till dark. As you can see behind us, we got all the first floor walls up yesterday. We finished up on the upper gables this morning.
Yeah.
And while that was going on, we did some layout of some timber frame, layout of some interior walls, and we'll go introduce you to that inside. But first, you know, you can kind of see we had this sea of white yesterday of all these large
bundles everywhere.
Bundles, and it all got used up. It goes quick, and you know, we've got a shell of a house right now.
Right. I mean, listen. This is one day's work right here. And when you said the upper gable, so if you were to think about that front wall, it was flat all the way around or level. So the upper gable is because you have the vaulted room inside, and you're going to see these beautiful windows. They're going to have a beautiful view out the back. And also, Jay, we were over in the corner over here, we were looking earlier. What were they putting on top? Was that some more of the gasket for the air tightness?
Exactly. And, you know, that goes on every layer. So we do it to the foundation, to the walls, wall to walls, and they're just getting set up for that gasket on top of the walls that is going to be for all the roof panels.
Right.
This is, like I said yesterday, this is a monoslope roof, so pretty modern. And as you said, there's some big windows looking out to the view on that side. But so this is all cathedral. You'll see here kind of the 8-foot section of the back has some ceilings for ventilation and other utilities.
Right.
But all out in front, that's all vaulted about, you know, 12 feet high. So
right.
these clients are going to have a nice view and a nice living space out there.
Yeah, they really are. I mean, this property is absolutely gorgeous. Looks like they're getting actually ready to lift something there. What are we lifting? Are those the, well, it's in walls. Is that the inside framing that they're getting ready to put in?
So they've already put in 2. You know, we've done so many things this morning to get us prepared to get up to the roof. So we need a certain amount of interior walls up so we can put the ceilings up. And so we're just dropping them in place. We're not going to put them all up because our focus is to really get this project wrapped up, airtight, weather tight, so that that water isn't intruding ever again under this foundation.
Sure. All right, so as a wrap up from yesterday, before we go inside here, we walked through the wall build, you know, the thicknesses, what it's for, the vapor barrier under the slab. We talked about all those things. So if you want to know some details on the wall and the site prep that went into this, check out the videos from yesterday, day 1. Today, when we go inside, we're going to talk about these LVL beams that are in place, as well as the posts that the posts are in place. We're looking to put the beam in place, hopefully while we're inside there. And we're going to get into a little bit more detail on how you're using the lasers and the levels to really figure all this stuff out.
Sounds great.
So, all right, why don't we walk inside? David, go to number 2 here in a second, and then we'll see you inside, everybody. All right, so you guys can't see it now, but we're going to walk in the front door here in a second. Currently, what they're doing is they're prepping a bundle to be lifted in. You're going to see Jay walk through the door here. All right, everybody. So here we come. All right. I love it.
So here we are in our new living space.
I love it. So absolutely. So we're now obviously inside. You can see they're cleaning up the slab, keeping everything as neat as they possibly can. We had the laser level here, but
sorry. We've got that moved now. But what we can see is that everything behind us, these posts are stood up.
Right.
Prior to these posts, we laid out all the timbers. We laid out all the interior walls, but we really needed to make sure that the elevations of these posts were in the same plane as where they sit into the walls.
Sure.
And so to do that, we use the transit. We've got some numbers. We check some datums. The amazing part of all this was the GC had a real good concrete guy, did some great flat work. And so we're less than an eighth out over all these posts, which was fabulous. And we just had to shim 1 1/8, and it looks great.
Right, right.
So sometimes we're having to cut these down a lot more.
Right, right. David, let's look at this post and what we have going on here. So this is a glue lam post.
That is a glue lam, yeah.
This is a glue lam post, and we're going to have a beam coming across the top here. So what you were saying is prior to putting this post in, you were drilling in threaded bolts into the ground.
Underneath that is all threaded rod epoxied into footings that are carrying the roof load of this building.
This is a finished post. This is a finished color?
That's a finished color, and you can see with the one behind you, it's actually an architectural glue lam. So the outside glue lams are a much better quality than the inside ones.
Yep.
It's actually the same exact company, Nordic, that makes the top and bottom plates for our wall systems. That's how that's how we're able to do these 36-foot walls in such a long length and keep them straight. You wouldn't see that with a SPF stud or something like that to see all the bottom and top plates being so straight. So it's helpful, but it's a beautiful look. I believe that's a custom color that we have in our timber frame shop, and you can see it's got traditional mortise and tenon joinery at the top. So we've got some tenons. They've all been pre-fit in our timber frame shop.
Right.
And you'll see the beams coming in over this with kind of like shiplap joints. And we might not see it today, but it's got a beautiful contrast to the roof, which has a whitewash finish on it. So it'll look really good.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. So it sounds like they're lifting this. David, how about we take a step back? You can capture that coming in as we continue talking here. So, all right, so right now, outside of the post, you guys are bringing in this wall system. We're going to start putting these wall systems up today?
Yeah, and there's some key elements to these interior walls. Some of them are shear walls that help this building keep from racking.
Right.
And so those are crucial to the build. Some others are going to be, that are behind you, Dave, that are going to be used for holding up the ceilings. And so we've got to get a couple of these crucial interior walls in before the roof goes on. This is the only part of the Unity series that has this necessity. Most other, the VARM, the Xyla, the Nano, all of the interior walls can get dropped in, and then the roof can go on, and they can all be fastened later. That's not on this one. We have to get some crucial interior walls in prior to landing this roof.
Sure, sure. All right, so they're putting the walls down. We're definitely going to get to some of this afternoon, because we will be live again at 3 o'clock to show more of what's happening. We might get to this beam. One of the things that we need to kind of finish wrapping up talking about is how these windows came together with that second top gable walls coming on behind us, right? We were talking about the header. We were talking about these, and this is one of the things, David, if we can show up here, and I know we have the other camera in the view, this is what we were talking about, how this all ties in. And there's an air gasket, or a gasket running all the way around this as well, bringing this together, yes?
Right. And so you bring up some good points, Dave. We've got the gasket in between the two wall sections. There's just a flat piece, so there's just 3-inch gap. You can see right there, the headers are up above the upper wall, and you can see all of our USP screws going through here, and those are actually structural now. So these are how we're going to stitch these walls together and keep them flush into out. And that's why there's so many screws going into the heavy 9.5-inch top and bottom plate of these walls.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, look at this. I mean, if we look at the pattern of the screws and how everything, I mean, they line up everywhere.
Yeah.
I mean, it's that precise on how this is coming together. One of the great things about Bensonwood and your product, right, is you're very focused on that passive house design. You're very focused on the air barrier, keeping the water out, right, in a healthy, clean environment. So, I mean, with that said, all these different details, these window details, how important is it to you guys when we're putting this structure together?
Oh, it's very important, but it's also very streamlined, and that's how everybody's trained. So, we tend to not mix our air barrier and our WRB, our weather resistant barrier. We keep all of the weather resistant barrier, of course, to the outside. We try and we keep all of our interior air barrier to the inside, and so that moisture from inside in the winter months doesn't come in contact with that cold all the way to the exterior tape, let's say.
So now we're getting into a thermal break is what you're saying in theory, yes? Is it?
Yeah, but more about how airflow and condensation can work
through
between the gaps.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
And then, you know, as you said, with the windows, I mean, these are huge windows. You noticed yesterday, Dave, while we were off camera, that the suction cups were on the doors.
Yeah.
And that's what we use because they're so heavy to be driving around the factory and install these in place. And if we're installing them in place there in a controlled setting, you know they got to be heavy.
Right.
And so to do it out here in a mud pit in the driveway is even worse if we were to bring those windows and doors in here. So it's really crucial to us to be setting these in a nice controlled environment where, you know, we're working in 68-degree weather rather than this weather. You can see our breath right now.
Yeah, it's not too bad though, right? I'm a little numb.
You still got feeling? That's good.
A little numb. We're good. We're good. Well, it is, you know, but again, this is one of the benefits. With offsite construction, you can work, you know, especially in New England, more days in the year and get more done, right? Yeah. I mean, if this was being stick frame, we'd still be just laying out the plates.
And that's the testament to that gasket too, that we use everywhere. We're not using glues. A lot of framers and things will be using glues right now, and they'd be struggling with keeping them all probably fired up on their defroster on their vehicle. That's the joy of using the gasket constantly, and we can just schedule just as we would in the summer throughout the winter building. The tough part is the concrete always.
Sure.
But, you know, we get around that too. We got, you know, they got heat blankets. We can do all kinds of things. So
and we're always doing something. I think it's starting to rain a little bit, honestly. That's what it's feeling like. So hopefully that doesn't lie. So I look at my phone, everybody, because I'm trying to see what's in the comments, but the service out here is not the best. All right, so let's talk a little bit about these logic windows. Why did you guys choose the logic windows? We really never got into it. And,
that's a good question. We've been through many iterations of windows. Unity has decided to go with logic, stay with the high performance, the tilt turn, triple glazed, UPVC, so it works with weather and the longevity of the building. But another important reason is they're near us in Maine, and so we can get replacement parts. It's a traditional Rayhouse profile that a lot of people see on UPVC windows. They're not the only ones that use it, but we wanted someone fairly close to us that can help us service these windows and get parts and whenever we need it. Right. And so that's a little hard when we're getting them from Germany, and we're looking at a 12-week lead time.
Well, that's what you're saying, right? I mean, because there are things that go wrong, things can happen or what have you. You know, luckily, I mean, everything looking great here. But if you did need to get replacement part, that's a big deal.
Yeah, it really is. And we have, not to say we don't work with those companies. We do work with these companies. It's just, I think more and more people are trying to get their passive house or their high performance windows here in the States. And we're looking for those people too, and partners to partner with. There's a lot of
Let me stop you for one second, Dave. Okay. Can you see that coming in with the other camera? Watch behind you, Jay. Let's see if we can here. I'll see if I can pull that in so everybody can see this beam being set. Is that going to go on the front or this backside?
It's going to go on the backside where Alex is here. So you're going to see that dropping in.
All right.
So Travis is here with our, he's our crew trainer.
Yeah.
And you can see we've got
Travis,
half of this beam exposed, non-visible. You can see on the side.
So Travis, what are you doing right now? You got a lead line on this to just kind of help control it with the crane? Right? Yeah.
We call that a tag line, and try to keep those on any type of panel that's flying for safety.
Dave, camera 2 should be ready to go.
So why you see some of that as non-visible is because interior walls will be hiding some of that. And of course, the part that is staying will be visible.
Right.
And it'll look real nice.
Yeah, sure.
So you can see, you know, the mortise is in those beams.
Right.
I'll get in here real quick, just help them situate this one. Tell me what you need, Travis.
See, that's good.
Perfect. So this has all been pre-fit in the shop, like I said,
Right.
Dave, and it really makes it coming together streamlined. These guys don't have to really get it plumb and square right now. They can drive some pegs if they want, or just leave it for right now. But that was done in the shop. Those were made square, mated well, and then pre-drilled in the shop. So all I have to do is drive pegs. We don't have to get out an extra screw gun to do that work.
Yeah, for sure. So David, can you go to camera 2 real quick, which is behind us? So what you're talking about, Jay, is we can see up here, we got the holes. There's 1-inch dowel holes, it looks like, maybe that run all the way through. So when we're talking about, you know, mass timber and how this comes together, in fact, you can see what Travis is doing there.
Yeah.
Dave, go to camera 1 and focus on what Travis is doing up on the ladder so they can see how this comes together. This is what people normally don't get to see, right?
That's right.
They understand what's going on.
So Travis just drove a white oak peg through there. And so this is, you know, some old craft, traditional mortise and tenon joinery that we at Bensonwood have had a long history of doing.
Right.
And we've just streamlined it a little bit more. We've taken a little of the handwork out. So Travis didn't sit here on the ground laying this out, putting a mortise in with a chisel. This was all done off of a machine, but it was double checked in the factory that all this could work. And he's just driving home some of these white oak pegs. And this is a structural joint that's happening here.
Right. Why white oak?
It's just it's something we've always done, and we've got a local craftsman that does that, makes those for us.
Yeah.
And we've always just gone with the white oak there.
Got it. And then what about on the other side in the beam pocket? How do you secure it to the outside wall over here?
So this is going to be driven with 15-inch power lags you can see at the top. And so there's structure in the wall. You know, much like we were talking about yesterday, we have this beam here, and it looks intrusive almost, right? But we try to just keep it the rest of the 2x3 layers. They've got a series of nails, and you can see the USP screws at the top there.
Right.
So those are holding the structure of the beam, and there's structure behind it that it's screwed to ensure that. But the big thing is holding the integrity of the vapor control layer. You don't see the beam penetrating to the exterior of the building.
Okay, great.
Right? It's just to the interior, so he's only got 2.5 inches of bearing. That air seal is still all there, intact. He'll be able to screw that in, and when the roof panels go on, we'll have a full sealed air barrier again with full insulation and none of that compromise.
And no penetrations through the exterior.
That's a huge thing of ours, is always to really keep that. And it's so crucial. That's why I always talk about this interior layer is not just a layer for wires, right? It's a structural layer. It's a part of the air barrier. There's so many reasons, and you can see right here, it supports large beams.
Sure. Yeah, for sure. So, yeah, why don't you go up there and David, come over here. He can see those screws on that side. So stay on that side of the beam. David, can you? And you go up top. You can point. You got those screws across.
Series of screws,
right?
That are all into a adder here to carry this whole load, just like the posts are carrying out in the middle.
Right.
And then he's going to probably shim this up to a certain dimension, but actually he's not going to shim it up because it's actually where it should be. But this roof is going to come on, and that's part of the beam work too. That's why we have the transit out, is to make sure that these elevations were correct with the rest of the elevations.
Yeah, and we're going to get into this a little bit too with the 5 guys in the clown hammer, as they call it on site, which is really impressive. But he's getting ready to actually drive those screws. David, can you show those screws? They're already sitting in the top of that beam. If you step over here, Jay should be able to point them out to you if he goes back. I'll get out of the way.
Yeah, there's 2 of those up there. I can probably unscrew them, but these have some hefty girth to them, and You can see the size of those over the years. We've gotten bigger and bigger, bigger and better. But the machine, actually, you won't be able to see down there. But up here, there's 2 countersinks for those too. So nobody's having to chisel that out. They're all pre-drilled in the shop as well.
Right.
And that's the same for, you were mentioning the USB screws. Those are all pre-drilled off our speed cut machine, the Hundigger, in the shop, just like those countersinks from that beam was, those were countersunk by in our timber frame shop.
Right, right. Well, I mean, but that's the accuracy of it, right?
Yeah.
And that's what I keep looking around. If you were to walk through this site and look at the walls and look at all the screw holes and the nails, it's just not randomly placed.
Yeah.
It's very methodical, very thought out, the way everything's running together. So
it has a lot to do with standard detailing.
Yep.
We try to standardize all those types of things, the pre-drills in every single house, not just this house, that they're the same in this house, but they're the same in every house. So the site carriers don't have to read through a book of engineering plans to decide what happens in this house. It's all kind of in your face.
Right.
It says it, you know, any straps that are going on the top plates of the walls, they're routed out by the Hundigger so it says, aha,
yeah,
something needs to go here. What is it? And they'll be labeled too. The top plate, it will say 24-inch MSTA strap or whatever the case may be. So it's real helpful to have all those hints and not have to have it all down in paper and someone holding that information.
Well, I mean, that's just it, right? And I'm not going to show too much of this, but this is basically what you have on site for putting this building together. And then, again, I just was watching, everybody was standing around the table over here. There's a computer set up with the digital twin right there.
That's right.
And that is it. There is no longer the bundles and 50 pages of blueprint that can be misread, misinterpreted, right?
Exactly.
You know,
and you're not creating it on the fly from a set of 2D plans that are architectural details, deciding with your headers in the wrong spot and having to tear apart a wall.
No sawzalls on this job that I've seen. No sawzalls yet. All right, let's walk back over here, David. We'll get out of there. Well, you know what? If you want to catch this, David, here, look back. He's going to drill that in now. Travis is hard at work. All right. So that's beam 1 now installed. Travis is putting the screws in. David, you can go to camera 2. So Travis is putting the screws in. And then is the second beam getting ready to come in, or what are they going to do next?
That's kind of like that shiplap joint I was talking about, right? There's a 1
inch.
Yep. There's a 1-inch catch on the post itself.
Yep.
The rest of the beam's up over the other beam, and we'll continue on with. It looks like, I think, 3 more beams here
coming across.
Yep.
All right, and then the inside walls that's behind David. You don't have to move, David. Go to camera 1. The inside walls here. These are where it's gonna come across. Now you guys already snapped the line for these.
Yeah. Hard to believe with all this mud, but we've already snapped the line for these, and really, like I was mentioning earlier, this 8-foot bay behind the timbers are where most of mechanical, utility, bathroom, hydronic, any of those things are happening. So we're going to bury a little of that in some of the walls. In other places, we're creating those rooms in the back, and then putting up some of these shear walls prior to getting the roof on. And you know, we might have to string a wall or 2, make sure our overalls are good, but then we'll be ready.
I love it. Look, I mean, hey, it's starting to snow. I don't know if you guys can see that on camera. Dave's holding his hands over all the wires and everything so we don't get it too worked up. All right, so, I mean, I think we've covered a lot here. I think this is really coming together fast. One thing that I really want to point out that, Jay, we were talking last night, right? It's basically 5 guys and what you call the clown hammer. I don't see it sitting around, but it's a big orange or yellow, I can't remember, hammer. But that's all you're using between that and the screws. There is no additional cutting. There is not, you're going to go get it?
No,
There's not a whole lot of fudging around with
the
everything.
Other tool that's so crucial. You know, instead of banging things with the clown hammer, that's what
pulling
we call
it together.
The clown hammer, is we've got this ratcheting, we call it the German claw. I know this is actually from Rotoblast, but this is our crucial way we get our panels to suck together. You can actually see them around, but if panels need to come together vertically or move because it's a 3,000-pound panel on top of another one, this is how we do it. We put in a couple screws, we tighten it up. It keeps the client's home intact for one, and that clown hammer doesn't have to be used. But this is it. It's like screw guns and these, And this is really the key to what we do. Before we had this, oh my gosh, I don't even remember what we did.
Right.
We struggled.
Yeah, I love it.
Smarter, not harder, right?
That's it. So look at these guys. All right, we're going to show one more thing, and then I think we're going to leave the rest for 3 o'clock today. But right now, they're actually running a level on the beams, and what they're doing is actually they're doing just a piece of wood to help secure that in place. Is that what you're doing right now?
Temporary bracing.
So, and how long? Let me ask you, how long is that temporary bracing going to stay up there?
Till we're ready to start setting the roof. Once we get our first panel down, we'll remove our braces as we go. And learning this from experience, you make sure you want to pin the timber down before you release your last brace. Otherwise, it ends very badly.
Yeah. Well, sure. But I mean, that's it, right? But that's all you're doing. You run this across, and then when you actually put the roof panels on, this is not a truss roof. This is a panel built the same way as these walls.
Correct. Yeah, it's still the same membrane in there. You know, that interior skin is going to follow on through. That's why we have the gasket. But it's a 14-inch roof. It's built almost the same, except for we don't have an interior back-out layer. We've got something else that is a cool surprise there that we can explain later. Hopefully we get to see some of it.
Well, hopefully we'll get some of the roof. Thanks, man. I don't want to stop you. I know you're busy as can be and going to go. That's what's great about these mics. You can just pull them off. All right, well, listen, everybody. We got a little bit of snow happening right here. We're going to be even working faster and harder to get this weathered in. Hopefully we'll be able to show you some great stuff at 3 o'clock. And we may just let the camera run for an hour after that, you know, if we don't get it all at 3 so everybody can watch it. I'm Dave Cooper. We are in the Hudson Valley with Jay Lepley from Bensonwood on a Unity Homes house raising. You can see there's been a lot done. Please like and share if you appreciate this video, and definitely subscribe to us on YouTube. Jay, we'll see you again at 3 o'clock.
This is awesome. Thanks, Dave.
All right, thanks everybody. I'm Dave Cooper. We'll see you at 3. Bye now.